specific health issues, it introduces the worrisome possibility of venom circulating within the body. This raises concerns about potential harmful effects on various bodily tissues, including the heart and pancreas, which could result in conditions like decreased heart rate and diabetes.
3 things I'm most concerned about. Number 1, releasing the venom requires nicotine. Number 2, so you release the venom from the cells, it's going to be circulating in your body and could create problems for other tissues somewhere else in your body. For example, if you had decreased heart rate and you had the venoms in the nervous system of your brain that control your heart's rhythm, if I give you nicotine agent and it releases the venom, you're going to see improvements in your heart function. Now the venom is floating around in your cerebral spinal fluid. Hopefully it makes it into your bloodstream. If it actually gets into the venom, gets into your pancreas, and if it touches a beta cell that makes insulin, it's an antagonist to the nicotine receptors on beta cells and shuts it off, and it can't produce insulin. Then you will start developing diabetes. So this is my concern. It's one thing to release it. That study out of January where they did a 6-month follow-up and there was no symptoms that ever returned was miraculous to me and not what I expected, because I worried that it could still be circulating in the body. And we have seen this, by the way. So clinically, I do this. Make sure you release the venom with nicotines. Then you use something from nature to break the venom apart, which is held together by disulfide bonds. And you use 2 things to do that: food-grade hydrogen peroxide and EDTA. That's what does it. So I recommend 35% food-grade hydrogen peroxide. There's a book online called The 1 Minute Cure that teaches you how to use it. I would buy it. It's only $13 on Amazon. It's an awesome book. It's a really short little paperback book, How to Use Food-Grade Hydrogen Peroxide. So follow that recommendation. EDTA is 1,000 milligrams a day is what I recommend to break it into pieces. Now that it's broken into pieces, my worry was these are proteins that have now just been misshapen or broken into pieces, and now picture little bitty thorns running around your body. The goal is to cap the thorn so it doesn't get stuck hurting you as your body tries to pee out the remains, poop out the remains, sweat out the remains, or cough them out. So you release it with nicotine, break it apart with food-grade hydrogen peroxide and EDTA, and I gave the doses. 3rd step, you need to bind the venom, spike protein spikes that you've just broken into pieces, and there's 2 things to do it. You have an option of one of the 2. It's either bentonite clay or apopectin powder or both. I've had tons of people getting the benefits they're seeing in their symptomatology, but their bowels have irritation the whole time they're doing it, and that's because they're not using a binder. And the moment I tell them to make sure they're doing bentonite clay and apopectin powder or one or the other, immediately all their symptoms disappear, and they safely remove all the poisonous toxins without symptoms. Bentonite clay, if you choose that, a food-grade version, is 1/8 of a teaspoon in 6 to 8 ounces of water. Drink it with your meals twice a day. 1/8 of a teaspoon in filtered water, 6 to 8 ounces, with foods twice a day. And then apopectin powder, if you choose to use that, which I have at my site, thedrshow.com, apopectin powder is brilliant. 1,400 milligrams is what you need every day, and that's what the dosage is with the apopectin product I offer. So those are the 2 things. So those are the 3 aspects of venom. Release it, break it up, and keep it from binding, which is what EDTA and food-grade hydrogen peroxide do, and then bind it. The principle is bind something to it that your body can digest or carry it out safely without creating more harm, and that is bentonite clay and apopectin powder. Remember, the nicotine is to release venoms. Venoms are poisonous and toxic. When the venoms are released from your cells, they go into your blood, they go into your lymph, and they go into your bowels. And any time there is poisons freely floating around in your body, God made your body do one thing: get nauseous, sick, to throw it up, or get diarrhea to kick it out, or to cause sweats and chills, heat and fever and chills, to sweat it out of your body. That's how the God designed you. In this report from January of 2023, 1 of the 4 people reported that they felt sick on days 2, 3, and 4, but they continued the treatment and all symptoms disappeared, flattened out, and all disappeared. But they had it for like 2 or 3 days. 1 of the case studies of the 4 took the patches for only 1 day because instead of doing the 7 milligram patch, he said to himself, maybe 2 is better than 1. So he put on 2 in the first day, got real nauseous, sick, and pukey, which was not the recommendation of the people doing the trial. He tries 2 patches, gets really sick, and decides not to do it again. You know what's miraculous about that? He only did it 1 day. all of his symptoms were gone by day 14 and never returned, and he had them for over a year. So this is how powerful this nicotine product can be, but I would use it in the recommendations that I'm giving you personally. I would wear the nicotine patch like I do because the gum made me feel that way too, and I just switched to the nicotine. And this is important for people to understand. If you're swallowing nicotine, it goes right into your intestines. You have 13 meters of intestines, small intestines and large intestines. And the entire 13 meters is lined with alpha-7 nicotine receptors that we all who were exposed to COVID now have venom spike proteins bound to those things everywhere in your bowels. So when we chew the gum, for some, not a lot of people, but a few people like you and I, when we swallow it, all that nicotine goes right into our guts and releases all the venom immediately, and then we feel nauseous, queasy, sick. I tried to cut gum into little pieces and see if it would be any different, and it wasn't. I would just get less nauseous and pukey. But when I tried the patches, you're skipping the gut internally. So you're allowing it to absorb slowly into the body over a 24-hour period. And I've never had a single reaction. So I would recommend the nicotine patches, the 7 milligrams for you, and do what I discussed with this study from 2023 in January, where they use 7 milligram patches for just 6 days. Even if you have symptoms, fight through it and do it. And after 6 days, remove it. Within 3 days, I would bank on you're probably going to see your symptoms have improved. Then I would still recommend EDTA and apple pectin powder or bentonite clay to help you resolve it. Hopefully that solves that for you. And for everybody out there, if you've ever had food poisoning, as bad as you felt, God designed your body to get nauseous, pukey, and sick, to get the poisons out of you, but it never feels good to release it. Everyone watching this, you've all been poisoned. We got to get the poison out of you. It is not supposed to be a symptom-free process. If you think that's what's going to happen, that's weird. But we can try to reduce that to make it easier for you. So just reduce the dose of what you're using. I purchased 14 milligram patches, cut them into 6 equal pieces, and I wear one every single day and have since November of 2022. And I wear it on one side of my ribs every day. Why? For prevention of variance and spread and shedding, as they call it, or transmission. I want to make sure I'm safe and healthy. My wife chews the gum. That's how she stays healthy as we are interacting with people all around the world. So I hope that helps answer most of those questions, and I think that it will. There are questions about the addiction quality of nicotine. It's not addictive, and I do want to state this for all of you out there that might believe in a God and as a creator of this earth and planet, which I have respect and choose to believe. God made tobacco plants. God made all your vegetable plants. And nicotine is not only in tobacco. Nicotine is in celery, cauliflower, potatoes, tomatoes, eggplants, and every nightshade vegetable like zucchini. It's in all of those. And how many of you have ever heard a friend say, I ate celery at a party one time and I haven't been able to get off of it. I have to eat it every day, like every hour. I have to take celery breaks at work because I'm so addicted to celery. No, that's not true. There is lower amounts of nicotine in those vegetables. And there's more in tobacco. But if you were eating those vegetables all the time, you would be getting nicotine every day. And no one's getting addicted to the veggies. So it's not as addictive as you think. And for those of you who are worried about all the published fear for the last 50 years that they've been publishing that nicotine causes disease and addiction, that is not true. It's the other chemicals they're putting in there that's making it carcinogenic, making you develop lung cancer and create other problems. So just know, nicotine is not just in tobacco. It's in your vegetables. Nicotine was put in your plants. God put nicotine receptors on every cell in your human body. There must have been a reason. He told you he put everything on the earth he created before he created you for the benefit of man. Maybe for just such a time as this.
Next, we have Dr. Andrew Kaufman, who discusses the negative health effects associated with the COVID jabs. He highlights several problems, such as myocarditis and blood clotting issues, such as pulmonary embolism, neurological problems like seizures and various degrees of paralysis like Bell's palsy and Guillain-Barré syndrome. He also mentions how sudden deaths have been reported due to these deadly jabs. And, the worst of all, Dr. Kaufman explains the challenges of identifying unknown ingredients within the vaccines, given the need for extensive analytical chemistry testing. Following that, we have Dr. Kevin Stillwagon, a retired chiropractor and airline captain who led a unique life pursuing 2 careers. The pivotal shift in Dr. Stillwagon's life occurred in 2020 when he observed a global dissemination of fear through media channels. This fear